That's
Welcome
dope.
to the Not So Famous podcast. I am your host, Manager Marco, and somewhere in these boxes is my girl Ange,
Over here in the right.
right there in the top right. And tonight's a really special night for me because I'm a huge fan of these guys, and I wanted them on a podcast. And poof, here we are. It's the reunion of souls. I guess also known as Blessid Union of Souls. We'll get that in a second. But what's up, guys?
What's up?
happening?
How you doing, man?
What's how I'm doing? Great, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and joining us on this podcast. And
thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's my honor. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, and then we'll get going.
All right, I'll go last.
Okay, so we're all from different places. Okay, we all live in different places. So I live in Cincinnati. I'm Tony. I played bass for the band. I played guitar for the band. I sang horribly for the band, and a little bit of keyboard once in a while.
Nice.
I'm Charlie, otherwise known as CP. The guys call me Chuck, and they're the only guys in the world that are allowed to call me Chuck. Really, they are the only guys in the world that are allowed to call me that. So you've been warned.
Duly noted.
I played mostly keyboards and bass with the band. Now in our new configurations, I've gone back to my first love, which is drumming, and Eddie and I swap off on the kit. And I'm a Cancer, and I like long walks in the rain and snowy days inside.
Thank you, sir. Great intro.
Hey, my name's Jeff. I play guitar, and I'm from Southwest Ohio originally, and now in Southwest Florida, enjoying the sunshine. And
love it.
And that's about all I got to say about that.
Okay, I'm Eddie, originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, living in Southern California right now, writing and producing for myself, the band, other artists. And I'm the drummer / lead vocalist, moonwalker, whatever. Let's try to fill in that gap. So, and collectively, we are the reunion of souls, just having fun.
Nice, man. Thank you, guys. Welcome. And just let's just clear up the reunion. It's the difference between reunion and souls, but let's just get that out the way. Let's clear it up. If you guys can explain, the difference or the situation there.
Who wants to go? Tony?
Who?
I think he put you on the spot, Tony.
I did. Threw him right out there.
Well, yeah, I'm probably not a good one to ask that question.
All right, so here we go.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to clear up the air here.
Yeah.
So we started as the Blessid Union of Souls. We're the 4 original members of that group, and we made the three different CDs on actually 5 different labels, but we made 3 CDs, and which included EMI and Capitol and V2 Records.
Yep.
Maybe there was an SBK Records real shortly before the actual first one came out. That was actually the first one, and then get back over the years and reunite as Reunion of Souls.
Great.
Yeah. So that's so basically, we all built the brand Blessid Union of Souls.
Right.
Then we kind of did this thing, and now we came back together collectively as the Reunion of Souls, the 4 of us. And the word is nucleus, I guess that's the word I'm trying to say.
Right.
The band. We're basically the foundation of the band. So we decided to get back out and play the stuff that we created and some new stuff as well.
Right. How long ago did you guys make the decision to say, all right, let's do this again. Let's come back together. Let's rock and roll.
Well, you know what? We did right before COVID.
Okay.
And 2019, we said, okay, let's do this. So we went out, we started doing some dates, we're having fun, running into some of the same cats that we used to do dates with, and it was just a blast. We did a few shows, and then COVID hit, and just like the rest of the world, everybody stopped playing.
Yeah.
So then after that, we decided, okay, well, it's time to do it again. And but we all got, and like a lot of the cats, we got involved in other things. basically moved in, and we're just kind of working out of studios, working with other artists and things like that. And
Right.
We thought now, since it's basically it's a nostalgia market, and we see a lot of our friends out there doing it. Mark, and Sister Hazel and all these, everybody, collective, all these cats that we used to, hang out and run with and play with. We said, well, you know what, we need to jump back out there too. We got a lot of other stuff out of the way, and now we can get back out and do what we love, which is play.
Right.
So.
Right. Now, you guys, when you guys first got started, how did you what was your break, your first break that oh crap, man, like this thing could take off, which
it was the world's longest break.
Yeah. Hey, no such thing as overnight success, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So this, it really, the very beginning of this really started off with Jeff and our producer, Emoja, who was like just an absolute integral part of the sound and everything. I mean, his, all those first 3 albums, his, signature is all over. And our original singer, Elliot, and they started writing songs, and they were writing and writing. I was living in New York. I knew the guy that ended up becoming our manager was a record producer in New York City. He actually produced the record for Shannon, Let the Music Play.
Oh, yeah, I know Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was a New York City synthesizer session guy, doing jingles and album dates and all that stuff. And I started working for them. And when that guy moved back to Cincinnati, he was right down the hall from where Jeff and Emotion, these guys were writing and recording these songs. And I got flown out there to do a completely unrelated record at the big studio. And I came down the hall and I listened to what these guys were doing. I went back and said, listen, we could keep doing these dance records for, how long, but there's like something serious going down the hall and you better pay attention to it.
Right.
So, and he finally did. So, we recorded about 35 songs just to demo. I mean, some hit brick walls and didn't go anywhere.
Right.
Some never got mixed, but there was about 4 or 5 real gems that had floated to the surface really early. I Believe being one of them, Let Me Be the One being one of them, All Along being one of them, Oh Virginia being one of them. Yeah. And so we did a demo and we sent it out, and because the manager had this name that people recognized, the packages actually got opened and listened to. Oh my God. And and they heard, I mean, we really bent over backwards to make it good. Like this wasn't going to be a band in a garage,
Right.
We wanted to show these guys the production ideas that we had of sort of taking the rural sound of acoustic guitars, mashing that up with like hip hop beats, and then throwing full-blown orchestrations on top of that. When I was a lad, I was a composition major at Manhattan School of Music. So I came in with these skills, and that's how you got the string arrangement on I Believe. And it just all came together. When Eddie was added to it, I didn't even know how great that was going to be until we actually started playing. Because Eddie, he was a Cincinnati guy, but he went out to LA to find his fortune. And he started playing drums with Shanice and Johnny Gill and Bill Biv DeVoe and Sheila E. Now, I'm a drummer, and I will ask you all the rhetorical question. Do you know how good you have to be Sheila E.'s drummer? You got to be really good.
You got to be really good to be her drummer.
So when Eddie came back, we had a guy that had the whole Cincinnati vibe and everything, but he had also been out there doing the A-list gigs. And when he got on drums, we were doing these productions. We didn't really know, could we recreate some of this stuff live, or what was our vibe going to be? And Eddie just made us an absolutely legitimate live band with just the way that we all coalesced around.
I'm going to give him his $20 for that, right?
I was about to say, how much you pay him for that?
Oh, no, right?
$20 will get you one pre-roll in New York.
That's it. Hey, it'll get you 3 here.
Just one pre-roll. That's it.
Just one. Maybe if you can talk the guys down, you get 2.
Inflation.
Good mood, and it's late.
Hey, it'll get you 3 here and a cookie. There you go.
That's great. So let's talk about I Believe, right? So, and Ange I didn't know this at all, and she had told me that. I'm like, well, guess what? We're having those guys on the podcast. She, what? I said, yeah.
Yes.
And I had no idea. Did you guys when you record something, man, man, holy shit, like this is a hit. This is one. Did you know? Was that one of the songs you were like, yep, this is one?
It was pretty evident. I mean, especially, it was produced in a really weird way. Like the way that recording started from scratch, it was about as bare bones and DIY as you could do it. It was with a sort of a mid-level Roland keyboard. We sequenced the piano part. It was a very flat piano sound, but it just clicked, and we put a little pad sound with that. Man, it just clicked, and they had it done, and that was going to be it. And Emoja came to me. Emoja, it's so funny, Emoja's this half black, half Italian rapper out of Brooklyn, and he loved the Beatles. He loved show tunes, and he loves the Beatles. And he was always talking to me about the Eleanor Rigby strings, that checka, 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 that, very spiccato sort of bowing technique. And we had talked a little bit. He had come to me and said, I'd like you to do a string arrangement on this. Now, back in those days when people said, oh, we're going to add strings, they'd call up a string sound on a synth and just play a pad. Their hand would lay there like a lox, and like nothing would happen, and it would just weigh the whole thing down. But I really wanted to do something that was, a little bit more along that George Martin type of influence. So we sent everybody out of the studio, and it was just Emoja, me, and our engineer Jerry Lane, and I played the whole thing out on synth strings. And then I went back to New York the next day, so I didn't see anybody's reaction. But after that just became part of the record. When we did it for the album, we had the guys from the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra come in, right? Had about 10 or 12 string players. And these are like the real legit guys in Cincy. There's also an orchestra in Cincinnati called the Cincinnati Pops, right? And these orchestra guys came in. And, that song, it has that shaker in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it moves at a clip, for something that's supposedly a ballad. These guys couldn't keep up with it because they're classical players and they're so used to playing behind the beat. But we had just gotten a new piece of technology called Sound Tools. It was that long ago before it became Pro Tools. It was called Sound Tools.
I was going to say that's probably Pro Tools, right?
Yeah. So we
29
recorded
years.
them.
29 years.
29.
We recorded them in stereo stripes. And then
1995.
we had to move the entire file back in time to then sync up with the actual track. And that's the way that all came together. But it's, on the final version, there's literally elements from, what was that, Jeff? That was sort of a cassette, right?
Yeah, I had an 8-track cassette.
8-track cassette.
In a PV Mark III mixing board and a SM58.
There's elements all over our first album of things from those original demos.
Oh, MC500.
Oh, that was the MC500.
And Chuck had one
right
too.
Hand. Yeah, man, that was my right hand. Couldn't make a freestyle record without an MC500.
The mini stenographer.
Yeah, that was my name. I was the MIDI stenographer. I'm just like typing in note values on the sequencer.
Thank,
Yeah,
thank-
musician now.
thank God for technology. Thank God for
Oh,
technology
my
these
God.
days. I
man.
can't imagine doing
Yeah.
music. We still deal with a guy that cuts and like cuts and splices, and it's like, why? Why you still do that when there's all that technology?
Oh, there's
yeah.
a
But that's
beautiful,
like
there's a beautiful art to that, man.
there is. And that's what he
and-
said. He took exactly what you said. He said, "Man, there's an art to this that nobody does, that not many people do."
Yeah.
Splicing, and I'm like, well, you get my song back in less than 3 months, and
I know, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
look,
yeah.
please.
that's why you went in the studio and all those slicers, they had mini razors. They weren't all used for tape, my friend.
No.
Oh yeah, no, that's no, nope.
That's a whole other story.
Oh,
That's
I
a
see
whole
this-
other.
I
And
know,
I'm sure.
right? I was like, man, what are you guys? Okay, I'm gonna leave now. You know?
I'm sure you guys got plenty of stories about that.
Oh,
Crazy. So,
you never know.
so I believe was that your first?
Yeah, that went all the way to #1.
That went all the way to #1. That was your first, and then
Leonardo.
Yep, and Leonardo. Yep,
that's right.
another one.
Right. So then you guys just start taking off and you guys go on tour, right? Is that what happens? Or are you guys still kind of playing local gigs, or like what happens when?
I think when we did all the stuff, I think at one point, Chuck, it was kind of like, didn't we do like 5 countries in 6 days or something crazy like that?
Oh, well, that's when we went to Europe to do promo.
That was
Yeah.
That was crazy.
And we do have to remember, before we could do anything, because we had to start playing live, we had to get a bass player.
Yeah, thank God, because Charlie's a great bass player.
And we had,
Thank God he didn't want to play bass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
we had
had to play
auditioned
the
like,
keyboards.
what, 50, 60 of them?
yeah.
And it's like Tony shows up.
Wow.
He knew the stuff.
He knew
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
He
they gave
knew
me
the
a
parts.
CD.
He played it. It was awesome.
Well, it was awesome for you. It was scary for me because if you guys remember, you put me in a room with Eddie for it seemed like an eternity, and Eddie just played with me. And you guys came back and looked at Eddie and said, can you think you can play with this kid? Because I was like 25, young guy, and I'm like turning around to turn off my amp and walk out like with my tail between my legs. And Eddie goes, "Yeah, I think I can do that." I'm like, "Really? Seriously?" So
But, I used to tease Tony all the time. I
used to.
I used to walk by and I'd take my pocket out, like the inside, and I'd just hang it out and walk by him.
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, pocket, you gotta get that pocket, And
And actually, this is a funny story. When we started our first, we were going to go on a Rembrandt's tour. It was the Rembrandt's and Us. That was our first real tour.
I remember that. Yep.
It's number 95.
Proper tour, yeah.
And so we went into a rehearsal area, and Eddie's on his drum riser. We were doing "Let Me Be the One." Okay, so we're practicing that, and in the middle of the song, Eddie stops playing. He walks around my bass rig, gets out the drum riser, walks around my bass rig, comes over to me, puts his hand in my pocket, and pulls it out. I said, "Kid, you got no pocket." And I'm 25 years old. I know everything. So I'm angry, but I also knew he was right, at the same time. So I thought, okay, this is going to be quite the learning experience. And it was.
Right.
I got a worse thing, though. Something my brother used to do when he'd get a bad drummer playing behind him, as a guitar player, he would have this really cheap watch, and he would take it off his wrist, and he would just hold it in front of the drummer's face. like here's time.
Yeah, be on time. Right. Stay on time. Right.
Yeah.
What's speaking then and now what's the difference now, right? Getting together, all that stress and everything of trying to break it, break and they're coming together again and playing. What's the difference between now and the past when you guys were touring the world and really just under a ton of pressure from record companies and everything?
Well, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is that we're in charge. I don't know if that's a good thing, but it's the biggest thing.
It's a great thing, believe me.
But we're spread out though. But we're all spread out, so it's tough to come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, 2024. The beautiful thing is the technology, right? Yeah. None of the bands that when we were on that show with you guys, the O-Towns, they're on different everybody's in different states.
Yeah.
You know, so technology allows that nowadays, right? So you guys can do this, and that's what's great about it, right? You can record in one.
Oh
one
yeah, we
studio,
all work out of our studios and just send stems back and forth to each other. You
Right.
know?
And it also helps with your memory.
Yeah. What? What memory?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
Right.
That's different. That's way different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, is there I guess how do I want to say this? I'm trying to figure out the right way I want to word that, but without
spit it out.
it's nothing. No, it's nothing crazy.
Angela, watch out now. Watch out.
No, man, we're not that kind of show, man. We're not looking for controversy here.
Well, controversy works too. It doesn't matter.
It does, but that's not. I don't believe in it. How long were you guys apart? Before from the time where you had that success, and then you guys took some time off, and then how long was that gap?
Eddie and I left the band in early 2002 because Eddie was living out in LA. I was living in New York. The big part of our run was kind of done.
Right.
And it was just, it wasn't anything personal or anything else. It was just we got to get back to, what we were doing before all this happened.
Life.
And, I played with the guys here and there. They would come by the East Coast or whatever, see some shows. But it was really just the idea of doing this, which came up in 2018, 2019. And Jeff worked out a thing where we went down to Florida and hung out in a house out on this island. It was great. It was just awesome.
It was awesome.
For a week, and we had gear set up there, and we put the show back together.
Right, right.
And that's sort of how it started. But it wasn't really until we played a show, because you don't know how these things are going to go.
No.
And the reaction, I mean, I couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
It's not like our pictures were on the cover of Tiger Beat every week, and to go up there and start playing, and you see everybody's faces in the crowd, like every song is like that song, and by the end of the show, I mean, people were just going crazy,
Right.
So we figured, hey, this is kind of working, I mean, there's always room to tweak it here or there, but I feel like what we come out and do, I mean, especially in the context of being a 90s act and being on bills with with other acts from pop radio back then, what we deliver is a very tight, like, just kind of like, it's us, like it's the same vibe,
right?
And we're all about what we were always about, and come on and sing the songs with us,
Except we have two drum sets, one lefty and one righty, and those guys do a dual drum solo that's like ungodly.
Wait, you bring you bring two drum sets with you?
Yeah, we got two drum sets on stage.
Because one's a left hand, one's a right hand. You can't swap off.
See, Eddie's our front man, and I'm a left-handed drummer. So
we go back and forth. So on some songs I'm playing and singing, Chuck's on keys and singing, and then some songs I'm out front singing, and Chuck moves back to the kit.
Gotcha.
And then in the middle of the show, we do this thing where, and it's so funny because we don't. It's never worked out. We just start playing.
Scripted though.
Yeah. We don't, but it always works out, because we watch each other and I think because we've been, it's kind of like a family thing. When you're around your family so much, you kind of know what each other's thinking, and that's kind of where it is. So
don't tell anybody, but I watched that guy drum for 7 years in a row. So I kind of
he knows where I'm going.
I know what he's going to do, and
Right.
B, I pretty much know how he's going to kick my ass as a drummer. So I try to do it all with smoke and mirrors, just like, yeah, here's my little bit. Now here's Eddie.
That's another $20. That's another $20.
Yeah, exactly. I'm up to 40 now.
Up to 40. That's another pre-roll for you, buddy.
I know, right? And a cookie.
And a cookie.
Well, I mean, you guys give off the family vibe, which obviously that's why I love that, right? You guys, it's again, big difference from the '90s and now. Like, you guys are out there just having fun, you know what I mean? And and that shows on stage. You know what I mean? Like, you're in it for something different now. It's not.
Well, you know what's funny is actually in the '90s we had a blast too, and it was really about the same thing. Meaning,
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't all this drama and stuff. Well, there was a little drama, but not out of us four.
Right. I got.
But I mean, like,
Here we go.
But also back then, like, if you're doing this and you're working for a record company, like, everybody's complaining about the record company.
Right.
They're making this mistake, they're making that mistake, and sometimes things would really get dark on the bus. It's just like, so and so, and then you'd go play, like, as part of your run, you'd end up at another big radio festival where you'd, like, be there with a bunch of other acts. And you talk to some of the other bands for 5 minutes, and you walk away. Oh man, I'm glad I'm not those guys.
Right. You'll be surprised what goes on back there, right?
Oh,
I mean,
grass is always greener until you take a look, man. It's like, man.
Exactly. Now, I guess this is a question for each one of you guys. Got to answer each one of you guys. But is there any regret that you would like? So not regret or something you would change? The first time around is that you would do now.
I can say something that's, just not a big one, but sort of. Is there was a time, like, right there when we were in the thick of it, I was thinking about, there was two places I was thinking about going, because I was in around Cincinnati at that time, and our management was out of Cincinnati, but I was either thinking about going to New York or going to LA and living, just because I'd be closer to the industry and other people in it, and just get more involved. And Chuck was in New York, so that was kind of cool, but Eddie was still in Ohio at that point. Actually, if he'd have been out in LA, I probably would have probably done one of the two. But it was like, being so close to management and everything else, it was just tough, but I wish I would have just done that.
Tony, anything you would change?
I honestly, I don't think I gave myself a chance to experience as much on the road as I should have. I let time go too fast, and there's times when I should have gone out and just left the band and gone and done something, or sightsee or something like that. Sightsee, is that a word?
Sightsee, sightsee, yeah.
It is now.
It is now. It's a Cincinnati term. But I think that's a regret. Is like I wish I'd spent more time doing that, and I think I wish I'd spent more time, like, taking pictures. We didn't have camera phones back then.
Right.
So,
right.
And I had a little digital camera, I think, on the third tour, but I didn't really take a lot of pictures instead. I wish I had, really, honestly.
Yeah.
There's 35 pictures of me with a tinfoil hash pipe in a different English hotel room. Every picture's me with a hash pipe in a different English hotel room on the Mike and the Mechanics tour. 35 pictures.
Mike and the
Mechanics. And a lap full of Balti.
You're on tour with Mike and the Mechanics? That's awesome. I love it.
That was
great.
That was the best.
Come on, man. That's fantastic. I love that.
Not only that, I mean, they were really great guys, and like, the guys he had in that band were just.
You know what? They were the epitome of British gentlemen.
Yes.
They were so cool. They used to come to the gig and have lunch with us all the time, and then they took us out to the Genesis farm, and their wives came and they fixed dinner. We all had dinner at the farm and took us through all the studios, took us out in the warehouse, showed us all the gear, and we were like, wow, look at all this.
It was cool. Very cool.
They were
great
so dudes,
nice,
huh?
Yeah. They were so nice. And the guys were all there, and they were nice. They would cook for us. They'd bring food. I'm like, golly, man, they were like family.
And
Really?
Well, the catering on the tour was awesome too.
and,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times when you're on, you know, when you're opening up either touring or like you just do a one-off date with a big band like that. I don't want to mention any names of a certain band from New Jersey, but that might rhyme with Ron Scovey. But anyway, but their road crew was like, they were the best. And they were like an all-star English road crew. It was the cream of the crop of the Genesis, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd road crews.
Yeah.
And first of all, these guys knew every dirty trick in the book, so that was great.
Yeah.
But they were really, really, the whole thing was just so positive.
And their road manager, Tony, right? Tony?
Yeah.
That guy, man, he looked out for us.
Yeah. He was from Indianapolis, wasn't he? Or from Indiana?
I don't know where he was from, but he was so cool because most managers for other bands, they don't really look out for the opening act or the other supporting act. You know, they're there, you know, there to do their thing with their act. But this guy made sure that everything was taken care of for us as well.
Right.
Cool.
They don't want to do anything nice for you because especially if you're the opening act, there's always the chance that you might smoke the headliner.
That's right. Exactly.
You
They took
know?
my words right out of my mouth. Exactly.
We might have done that one or two.
A couple of times.
A couple of gigs. Oh, we were lucky.
I mean, you know,
But
step your game up.
not with Mike and the Mechanics.
No, not with Mike and the
They used to
Mechanics.
love to just go out and watch the show. They used to watch the show.
I mean, it was crazy. We watch it every night, you know.
Right.
Just like, this is great, you know.
Do you guys have like a favorite show you got, like a favorite show you did, you know, that stays in your mind?
There were about 4 or 5 shows that, I mean, aside from being fun or crazy or whatever, that really advanced us, if not like to the outside world, at least internally to us, that we actually had the goods. But the gig, and it was early on with us, before I had played, before we started the Blessid Union, as part of my journeyman, session man thing, I played for a while with Rick Derringer and Edgar Winter. And we had played this big gig in Toledo. And, you know, and it was a great big gig and thousands of people showed up. Well, fast forward like 4 or 5 years later, we got the same gig. But the thing was, we were filling in for Foreigner, who bailed, and now this unknown band with one hit record on the radio is going to come and try to hold all of these people at this big outdoor gig in Toledo.
Right.
And man, I was looking at the guys like I don't even know if I said anything. I didn't even think I wanted to put the jinx on you guys, but like I was looking at everybody go, look, it's probably not going to go good. It's okay. You know, it's back. We'll learn stuff. It'll be great. You know, we'll be better for this. And by the 3rd song, I mean, we just had them, and we couldn't believe it. You know, that like just what we had thought up and cobbled together as a show, and just our collective vibe on stage. Like, I mean, it was thousands of people. You know, it was a free gig. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
And that was really. I mean, we had a couple of other things like that, but that gig in particular, I really remember is like, man, it's going to work out. Like,
I think we learned a lot about ourselves at that gig too.
Yeah.
We had to work to get that audience, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, it wasn't.
They wanted to see Foreigner, and by the end of the show, they liked us. You know, they enjoyed the band. But
right.
That's
a tough spot, man. That's a tough spot to be in.
You know, and I don't think there was a lot of time for promo to go out to let people know that it wasn't going to be Foreigner. So I think we learned a lot about ourselves.
Lucky we didn't get stuff thrown at us. You know, I really enjoyed the gig, the Hyde Park, the London gig. I mean,
you did Hyde Park?
We did Albert Hall for 2 nights in a row.
Royal Albert Hall was awesome.
Royal Albert Hall was really cool. The Hyde Park gig though was so many people. And they said all the way from the United States. I said, and it was so loud. And the stage was kind of what was that thing? It was like a box.
It was like a big shoe box.
And when this crowd started yelling, I couldn't even hear I was trying to count stuff off. And it was like, I couldn't even hear my sticks clicking. You know, like I said, okay, this will be interesting. you know, but it worked out, man. And it was such a great show. I love that one. Yeah, Royal Albert Hall, that was, you know, it's Royal
just
Albert
because
Hall.
of where it was.
Yeah, of course. That, I mean, legendary, right? Yeah.
And, you know, that crazy German gig that we played, I think, like in a railroad station, that they did a big sort of festival in Baden-Baden, Germany. And EMI Records in Germany was a real record label, and they got us everywhere. But we did this gig, and it was like one of the few times that we played, you know, did our full show in Germany.
That was the
and the crowd was, I just couldn't believe it that they reacted to us the way that they did. And it was just like immediate, like they really caught the vibe, and you know,
The thing about that one was, though, the thing about that gig in Baden-Baden, I know it was outside in a tent in the Black Forest somewhere.
Wow.
Well, we get there, and remember they took us all those Sotheby auctions, and so we start drinking champagne in the morning. All right, and
we got drunk as skunks the night before. That was the night of Hunky Dog.
Was that?
Yeah,
Hunky Dog.
But the thing is, I'm not like a drinker. You know, I'm like a social. Okay, if you have one, I have one. So by the end of the night, we've been drinking all day, and we end up in this club in the Black Forest somewhere. I decide, you know, it's us and what was it? Was it Collective Soul or somebody?
Collective Soul.
Yeah.
Was it? And somebody else, and we're all out there, and I say, well, I got to get some air. I walk out, and sit on this park bench, and I wake up the next morning in my hotel room. But the crazy thing, my room was like a tri-level thing with white carpet.
It was weird.
I had thrown up.
Weird.
Oh man.
Okay, so I might be able to shed some light on that because
the truth comes out. The truth comes out.
We were with Ed, right, the singer, Collective Soul.
Yeah.
And we were doing all these shots of tequila after all that champagne.
That's the
For
worst.
hours, I lost my jacket. The one, and you were out on that bench, but I don't know if you left, and then I didn't know how I was going to get back. We were in a taxi of some kind.
Yeah.
I think that may shed some light on some of that.
All I did, I saw Ed the next day. We were down when we went down because we had to go do the gig. And I saw him at the lobby or down at the desk at the next day, and he looked at me and would go, "Yeah," and that was it. That was it. He didn't even talk. We went, "Yeah."
And the next day was the concert. So we go to do the show. Eddie, he was hanging. You were hanging.
Oh, dude, you know what? You smell it coming out. I was sweating. I was sweating.
So we did have it was, and it was like 1,000,000 degrees at this gig, right? I mean, it was super hot. Yeah. So Eddie, we do them changes. We break it down. We all leave the stage. Eddie takes a drum solo. I walk behind the drums, and I smell like wine. It's just all I can smell it like, and it's coming out of Eddie's pores.
I tell you what, I was on autopilot that night. I was like, "Man, am I going to get through this? Well, God help me."
I could listen to the road stories all night, man. Like what you guys, you know, the stories you guys probably have. Ange, I know you had some questions that you wanted to ask.
Well, I'm totally obsessed with I Believe. So, I mean, that was like my jam back in the day in 1995. I was 29 years old then when you guys came out with that. I know every lyric till this day. So I think that what I love about that song, it was important when it came out, right? Because the lyrics.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of feel like a remix needs to happen. Something needs to happen with the I Believe, because I feel like we are repeating history and we're back in the same kind of shit, you know, where, because the song, it's supposed to instill hope. It's supposed to send a message, and hope is like, for people who know me, I'm all about the hope ever since, you know, I got diagnosed. So I'm all about that. And I'm all about, you know, they talk about it. I pulled something from the Celebrity Cafe. They talk about, instilling hope in people, and hopefully people will, get some tension out of the world and turn things into a positive. So are you guys working along that same line of
that's exactly
well, we actually re-recorded the song, and yeah, we re-recorded it, and it's
Okay.
I'd say it's different. It's
You can check it out. It's out there.
okay.
Yep.
You
I'm
know?
gonna write that down, Eddie.
Yeah, you check it. And actually, we're like I said, we've been working on other things, and we're decided to start working on music. And that's the basic. That's what our whole thing is about. Is we want to write music to instill hope in people. I mean, because look, there's all kind of stuff out there now, but because the industry has changed so much, the whole music platform has changed so much. The whole landscape has changed so much. It's like how I think, and I had this conversation with Jeff the other day. I was like, I like songs, so now I just listen to country radio. It's because that's where I hear songs.
Yeah.
So when we're writing now, we're writing with the focus of positive music, just trying to instill hope in people, and because without even saying, everybody knows the state of the world, but if we can actually contribute something positive with the talents that we have been blessed with, then I feel like that's what we're called to do. So everything that we're looking forward in writing, it's going to be something like that. Yeah, we'll write a couple of those songs about yo girl, we'll write some of those, but it's in a positive way, So, but that's the thing, and I believe, like I said, that song came out at a perfect time, and that song is still relative to today, and that's why we did another remix of it. It's there. We and like I said, we did it right before COVID hit, and then everything just kind of stopped. So we never really had the opportunity to promote it. We never really had the opportunity to get out and do a whole lot of it, to let people know that we did. But it is there, and like I said, we'll do many more of them like that. Once again, just to instill, hope and some positivity, with what we have to offer. So.
And has anyone heard from Lisa? Do we know what Lisa's up to?
It's funny. Lisa just called me just now.
Ah,
yeah, it was
get
a
off.
No, I have a friend named Lisa. She just called me just now, so I have to call her. No, Lisa was. I think she was a friend of Elliot's, a girlfriend of Elliot's or something. That was apparently that was a true story that he wrote that about. So I never knew her. So
very cool. Very cool though.
Yeah. You know what though, man? It's like that whole story. There's a lot of Lisa. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I've been in the situation myself. I mean, a lot of us have been in situations where we've been involved with somebody or in a relationship with somebody, and because of somebody else, it was pressure. And I don't believe that, people are that different. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. We're all, what do they say? We're all created in God's image, right? So why not, love who you love, and, don't let anybody stop that, so who knows? We'll see. We'll see how this thing plays out. So,
I think it's going to be great, man. I think you guys are awesome. So what's I guess to wrap things up, what's the future look like for you guys? What do you guys got new music? You said you're writing and stuff like that. Is there anything out currently?
You're
always writing. I love it, dude.
Yeah. We've been working on some stuff recently. The goal is by 2025 be back out.
Right.
We recently just talked to this guy who was a road manager for the group, a couple groups, and he seems to be pretty excited. So we'll probably have more conversations with him. We'll probably give him a call tomorrow and see what his thoughts are. And
listen, he's got to be. He must be good looking too.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know the guy.
Yeah,
I don't know the guy, but
he's definitely got a face for radio. So.
That's a shot. That's a shot. I hope he charges you 30%. I hope he charges you 30% now.
I knew I liked you, Eddie. I knew I liked you.
No, don't turn on me now. Don't turn on me.
Well, Eddie's going to need that $40 from Chuck. That's for sure.
Chuck, give that back to him, buddy. It's coming out of his cut.
He's got to pay the big.
My
Ah,
God.
good.
No, we can honestly say, man, we're excited about getting back on the horse and
Good.
excited about working with somebody who wants to work with us. And
Yeah.
it's just a thing, man. It's what we do, And
Yeah, man.
so it's we're going to continue writing. We're going to get back out there, and like I said, the goal is the 2025. Start making some more numbers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great goal, and when I started this podcast, it was basically for like the independent music and kind of help people out and kind of give them some tips and stuff. So I guess you guys being veterans of the industry, any tips for we'll box it in. Any tips for any upcoming, I guess, musicians or groups that you guys that you could shed, some inspiration.
Learn the business. It's called the music business for a reason. Music's cool, but learn the business part of it, especially now because so much has changed. Own your own master. All right.
Yes.
That's your
Your recordings.
Yeah. You
Yes.
make your recordings, because that's your intellectual property.
Yes.
Own that. Because once you own that, then you have other opportunities. Provide if you don't want to go out on tour or do something like that, you can always use that intellectual property to film, TV, video games, blah, 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 blah. And there now, because the labels are so changed, but there are so many other opportunities,
right?
Where there weren't before. Heck, before you couldn't even get a distribution deal. Now they're all over the place.
Oh, they're I don't want to say meaningless, but it's not like back in the day. I mean, anybody can sign a distribution deal. There's no money behind it. There's no promotion behind it.
No.
It's just, hey, you can use our distribution, through Sony Orchard,
Yeah.
something like that. And
you
it's
gotta
not
learn
the
that. Yeah.
right. And the music, and the music industry. I think they got rid of $300 million worth of $30 million worth of salaries recently with all their labels and stuff. So now you got these labels working on skeleton crews. And some of the stuff I do too is I develop artists and we bring them to labels. There's nobody there that's people that we had in the labels are gone.
Yeah, no. And you know what? Another main thing, and I can't stress this enough. If you are a band, trademark your name so that you own your name.
Yes.
I can't stress that enough.
It
doesn't matter if you guys are best friends for ages and you guys are tight and you just, make sure you trademark your name, own your name so that you can continue doing what you do under the name of who you really are and the brand that you built.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. That's what I say. I mean, I would always tell people to do that.
And it's not that expensive either to trademark.
No. But a lot of people don't because they don't. That's not something that they think about.
Yeah.
That isn't something that they think about, especially musicians, because musicians, they have that side of the brain that all we are, we're creators.
Mm-hmm.
We're not businessmen. And being a creator, that's all you want to do. And then you don't know about the other side of the music business, which is copyrights. Of course, now in the United States and stuff, you don't.
I get slapped for that all the time, don't I, Marco?
Yeah, it's already got it. Yeah, it's got it's timestamped. So, but that's the thing. Own your publishing. Trademark your name. Just take care of yourself, man. It's just just take care of yourself that way. And if you don't know, it's all over the internet.
Yeah.
Now you know.
How to do everything on the internet.
Ask questions.
Having said that, the one thing that everything changed in 2000. And there were a lot of, I could have here for 2 weeks giving you the reasons why it did, but it was mostly, what's that word I'm thinking? Greed! It was greed! But
hey, look, lies and greed.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
No,
yeah.
They go hand in hand.
Lies come with a side dish to the greed. They're like cream spinach to the greed. There was a lot of good things about the record business. There really were, and especially like in New York, there was a sense of how good you had to be, assuming you were a player. If you were just trying to be the singer and get lucky, that was another thing. But as far as like the guys that were really looking to like play on the albums, play on the jingles, get into that side, and I'm not bragging, I'm a lucky so-and-so, but there was a real thing about you could go to a club and see a guy play that played on a record that you bought with your own money, and now you're standing this far away from him.
Yeah.
And you look at like makes this guy so special, and then you see him that close and you go, oh. And it's like, oh man, I got to go back home and start working.
Yeah.
And that was the good thing. But there were so many dopey rules. You know, people forget Lilith Fair, like, oh, we can't have all chicks on a bill. Lilith Fair was 1998, not 1988, not 1970. It was 1998.
Right.
So now there is, I mean, you still got to know the business, and you've got to know the wacky version of the business that exists now. But what is not there anymore is a guy with a little ponytail in the back of his head telling you that your vision sucks because he is determined it can't make him any money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you might have reinvented music, you know, that freedom is now out there for everybody.
Yeah.
And what I've seen the internet do over the last 20, 25 years is that some of these genres find very supportive communities. It's not the way it used to be, and it never will be the way it used to be.
Correct.
But you have more of a chance of getting what you really are feeling if you want to take the chance, you know, and put it out there and just, this is what I've put forth, you know, and there's not this middleman constantly trying to fix what nobody's even found any fault with yet.
Yeah.
And believe me, this band knows all about that.
I'm sure, man. That's why it's great, the independent music scene.
Yeah.
You can make your own path, man. You could go as big as you want, and some of these guys are so big they don't need a major label.
It's crazy. I mean, you know, like some of these bands come in and sell out Madison Square, and you've never heard of them.
Right.
They're just all done this different way.
Yeah, but you know what? But you got to put in the work. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work.
Always.
It doesn't come easy. I just ran into a friend of mine in Nashville. We were coming back into LA, and he was coming back from Nashville, and he told me, he says, you know, he said, somebody just told me here in Nashville, he said, the music business is full of lies, deceit, and greed. He said, and then there's a downside.
Yeah.
Hey.
I was like,
what's that tell you?
I know, right? I was like, yeah, man. So, yeah, just learn as much, just like any other job.
Yeah.
Learn as much as you can about the job, the ins and outs, you know. And then when you think you got it all figured out, learn some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps also know how to learn play your instrument.
Yes.
No,
This
You
is the number one thing I would tell anybody, especially if they're going to be playing in bands. The most important thing you all need to do when you get up on the stage is listen.
Listen. You gotta listen.
You gotta listen. You gotta listen.
Yeah.
It's fun. It takes a lot of weight off you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look what these fellas are doing. Maybe I'll help them out with that. You know? Then I don't have to think up anything.
Right. I mean, it's all great, all good advice, man. Great advice.
And hey, listen up too. A band is a team, right?
Yes.
There's Y in team, and I don't want to be cliche, but a band is a team, and I've seen too many bands split up because of one person.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen, you know, and it's you have to realize, man, it wouldn't be a band without all of them.
Yeah.
You know, so just know that if you plan on working together in a band, everybody has to, you know, bring their stuff to the table.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has to put in the work, and at the same time, nobody's more important than the other one. You know?
Yeah. I got a couple stories how that ruined a lot of money for me, but you know, great advice, man. I mean, people always ask me for my advice on music, and I'm like, talk to these guys. Been doing it for years, man. Like you guys know more than me.
And also,
you know?
And one last thing: if you get lucky enough to have them, be great to your fans.
Yeah.
Like,
Boom.
be really great to your fan.
Yeah, because if you're
I
successful,
can't
you
stress
be
this
there without.
enough.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's
Right.
why we always considered our friends, our fans. We always said friends, because we were those guys who would stay at the gig until the last person left.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because we knew it wouldn't happen without them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and we know that now coming back, it won't happen without them. That's
Right.
one, you know, and we want to thank everybody who was involved. We want to thank everybody who tuned into this podcast. You know, we look forward to seeing everybody out on the road next year, and we hope everybody supports us as we continue to release new music, you know, and get involved. You know, like I said, we're a bunch of guys who are just now, you know, we're not really savvy with Instagram and Facebook, but we're learning. So
Yes.
we don't engage with you right away. It's not because we don't want to. It's because our heads are spinning. You know?
It's because we're that old.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
We're that old, bro.
Hey, you know what? Hey, I can tell you how MySpace works now. I got that one.
Yeah. That's right. Do you know? I know when somebody was sad because they had the sad music playing,
Yeah.
or they broke up, or they were
You had
happy.
your top 4 or 5 friends or whatever that was, and
Yeah,
that's
the
what
top-
mattered. Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh man, you said MySpace. Ooh,
Golly.
my goodness, those were the days. MySpace.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you for joining, coming
you.
on here to the
Yeah.
podcast. Of course, you could download this podcast everywhere you can find podcasts. My YouTube page, Not So Famous podcast. And guys, again, I hope to see you on the road
We hope
soon.
to see us
Thank
on
you.
the road.
And just hang around here. We'll end this show. And thank you guys. I appreciate
Hey,
you.
one last thing.
Yes.
Please, everybody, please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, all of our
Yes.
social media. And the reason I'm asking this is because as we continue to drop new singles, the way that these algorithms work, you know, and even now, even the way the satellite radio works and all these things, they don't love you unless you have a ton of followers.
That's
So
correct.
Unless we have a ton of followers, the stuff won't get out there. So once again, everybody, thank you for supporting us, and please continue to do so. And in that doing so, we can get out there and shake hands and make noise with everybody again.
That's well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. That was perfect.
How are we finding you guys on Instagram?
Instagram, Tony.
Oh. Well, how do we find us on Instagram?
Probably, I would guess it's at Reunion of Souls.
Yeah, I think it is at
Reunion of Souls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, guys, when you talk to this guy, maybe he can help you get straight a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what we heard. We heard he's good at that.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, just from what I understand. But thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hang in there. We'll end the show now. And I appreciate everybody tuning in and to live, and everybody that's going to download the show. And we'll catch you next week. Don't take shit from anybody.
That's right.
That's right.